What's up, guys? This is the Illegal Defense. We're going to get into it with our NFL portion of the show. It's episode 10. Going to get right into it with the Seahawks versus the Cardinals. Seahawks handle business 31 to 21 and beat the Cardinals on the road. Um, the Cardinals seem to still struggle. Kyler Murray showing some struggling. Still don't know what the issue is.
Well, we know what the issue is.
we know what the issue is. Buda Baker kind of pointed it out. He actually mentioned it. I think it was after the game. He was like, gotta rest up more. Gotta try to prepare more. Watch more film. Kyler Murray probably should do that. But yeah, I mean, hats off to Seattle. They did what they could do and they handled business.
Yeah, this was a game that I was saying I could see the Cardinals winning this game just based on the games that they played. We know how close games are in the NFL period. The Cardinals do have talent on their roster. We know Hopkins is back. But yeah, I mean, this Call of Duty thing is gonna follow Kyler around for a while. I mean, he's gonna find a way to put up wins. Around this time, I mean, there's no excuses here when Hopkins is back. And it's not completely on him, but he's the guy that makes the team go, right? We saw him be able to pull off these like miraculous comebacks. We saw the game against the Raiders earlier this year where he kind of, does all these things. And obviously we can't expect that from him all the time, but as the quarterback and the leader of this team, he has to play better. We know the Seahawks are a much improved team from last year. They've been stringing together wins. They've been showing that they're for real this year. So it is a tough game, but I would expect the Cardinals to show some fight sometime soon because I don't know. This was a team that last year was had one of the best records in the league till past the midway point. I don't see why they can't figure some things out here in the next coming weeks and find a way to make a push at least for a playoff
For a
spot.
wild card spot at
Yeah.
least. It's kind of weird because obviously the talent that they have on their roster, don't know if it's clicking, like if it's not clicking for their offense as far as just it's like kind of one-sided. It's like they don't run the ball really well. They strictly just depend on the pass when it's like you have a mobile quarterback, try to use him to his strengths in a sense. But again, it's there's some senses where Kyler Murray's not picking up certain blitzes that as a quarterback that is getting paid that much money, you should be able to do that. But again, we don't know what's going on with the Cardinals. Hopefully they get it together. It would be nice to see them in the playoffs. Oddly enough, I like the Cardinals in the playoffs. I think the last time they were was like when Carson Palmer was on that team, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if they made it with that team yet, but
The last time I remember was the big play with Larry Fitzgerald, like the last game
oh
of it.
right,
Yeah,
right,
towards
right,
the end of
right.
his career. Yeah, I remember being at a bar and everybody going crazy
Yeah.
when that was happening. But
So
yeah,
it would be nice to see the Cardinals at least get a wild card spot, try to do something. And I mean, they were in the playoffs last year, but it wasn't.
yeah, it almost doesn't count. Like
Nah,
they didn't make any noise. They didn't do anything
yeah,
impressive.
it
Yeah.
wasn't really anything memorable, and it was against the Rams. So the Rams obviously were the reigning champs, or they were the champs, and they handled them. So speaking of the Rams, they weren't able to get it done against the Bucks. The Rams went on the road. They lost 13-6 against the Buccaneers, and um, the Bucks showed some type of life towards the end of the game. It was kind of like,
It was a very strange game.
yeah,
It
it was
was
like,
it wasn't entertaining to watch.
yeah,
It was the Rams were up for most of the game until the Bucks came back late and scored, but yeah, just not a
it
very
was like a
good game.
stale game.
Yeah,
Like,
very stale game. I don't know, man. Very odd for two teams that coming into the year were some people Super Bowl favorites, right? The Rams
Nah,
coming off their Super Bowl win last year, the Bucks with Tom Brady and keeping a lot of their pieces that they were able to win the Super Bowl with the year before. But yeah, strange game, two strange teams this year.
nah,
The Bucks, like you said, they were able to pull it out. So good for them. They really needed the win. Um, I feel at this point, the Rams seem to have a lot more issues that seem like there's not answers to, right? Like
nah.
their offense is clearly
Struggling.
struggling. I mean, we even had Jalen Ramsey come out and say, oh yeah, our team is struggling because our offense is kind of, holding us back here. Um, and yeah, so it seems like they have a lot more that they would need to fix to turn their season around and um, not just make the playoffs, but to make any noise in the playoffs.
Nah,
The Bucks, on the other hand, if they could put some wins together, once they're in the playoffs, you can't really count them out.
nah.
So,
Yeah, especially with Brady.
yeah, so I think this win, it was a big win for them. There are all the stats about, Brady's seasons and how this one has, been not a very good one. One of the worst ones since I think his first or second year, something along those lines. We talked about their game last week against the Ravens. I said I don't think you could pick against the Ravens looking at how much the Ravens need to win, how bad the Bucks have been playing. This
Right.
game, we looked like at the Bucks to win, kind of, for the reasons that we stated, and it didn't look good for them, but they're able to pull it out. Much needed win, as we said, and will be crucial for them. We talked about the Rams and their problems. The Bucks, we've talked about at length how we can't really put our finger on what the issues are, right? Like we know what they are production wise. Like they seem to not
There.
be able to run the ball.
Nah.
Their passing offense has struggled, at least compared to what it
What it
was.
was and what
They
it can be.
Yeah, and so defensively they've been able to stop the run, but then they've been giving up big pass plays. So but these are things that they should be able to fix or at least improve in those different areas. And once they turn around, I mean, they still have the weapons. They still have Godwin. They still have Mike Evans. You still have Brady back there. You still have a defense that should be able to get the job done for you
Especially
if you
since
could put
they're
up some points.
yeah, especially if they're a championship defense. It's like
Hmm.
they've proven that they can win a championship. So um again, it's kind of odd. Like this game wasn't just like you said, it was like there wasn't anything from this game that I can be like, wow, remember this moment? And it was kind of like it was just like the tale of two teams and who's gonna really make the mistake to let the other team win. It was never like the Bucks earned it, and it was kind of
Hmm.
like I guess they're on track. Like, all right, we gotta win. Let's build on it. Let's try to get better and do what we can. So the next game that we have is the Titans versus the Chiefs. Titans went to Arrowhead and they actually put up a fight. It was 17-20. Um, Obviously the Titans didn't have Ryan Tannehill. They had to roll with Malik Willis. The spread for the game was actually like minus 10.5.
Yeah.
So surprisingly the Titans covered with Malik Willis. But it kind of like when I was watching the game, you could see that there was kind of like a new spark to the offense, being that they can run Malik Willis.
Also, that I mean, this was a Derrick Henry takeover game, right? If they
Yeah,
if they pull out this win, it's because of Derrick Henry
for sure.
and his ability to run the ball. The Chiefs, the problem is with games like this when they're low scoring and you run the ball, the Chiefs offense at any time could explode and put up points, which is exactly what they did. They
Yeah.
the game was like a drag out kind of game. It was low scoring. You get late in the game and it gets forced into overtime, and then once you're in overtime, the Chiefs find a way to win it. Yeah, I mean, look, good effort by the Titans. The Titans, they started off a little slow. They've picked it up since then. Um, and this is a Titans team that's been, pretty much in recent history always in the playoffs. So,
Right.
in a way, it's not that surprising that they were able to play the Chiefs kind of close, even with Malik Willis, because of having Derrick Henry back there. Their defense is able to step up and perform when needed. So, yeah, it's just, with the Chiefs, you can't count them out. They're one of these teams that has that rare ability to kind of find ways to win, right? It's almost more surprising when they lose these type of games
Yeah.
because you almost expect the game winning drive and their ability to just come through late and take that win for themselves in terms of instead of other teams where they might shoot themselves in the foot or might not find a way to convert the necessary third
Right.
down and things of that nature. So, the Chiefs and their experience, their offensive prowess proves to be too much. And, you know, we expect the Chiefs to keep rolling. The Titans played a close game. I'm sure they'll keep things up on their end, and they'll be in the hunt to return to the playoffs if they can keep up, their more recent play.
Yeah, I think and very Vrabel he'll have his guys ready regardless. To go into overtime in Arrowhead with a quarterback that's a rookie, doesn't have much experience. It's a lot. That's a lot to say just in general. I mean, it's not an easy task to play against the Chiefs, but um, hats off to the Titans. I'm sure they'll get back on track. The next topic that we're going to get into is the NFC East and the AFC East. Kind of seeing the whole landscape of both divisions in their conference. It seems like both of them are the best divisions really at this point. I mean, the Eagles, they're obviously on top, undefeated still late in the season. We have the Bills that are obviously a stellar team, top tier team, and they just lost to the Jets, and the Jets have shown that they're a competitive team. Then the Dolphins, Tua is really coming into his own against this whole off or against this whole offense. Under this whole offense with McDaniels, and then obviously the Patriots are still the Patriots, and they're pulling out these gritty wins and all these. These teams are all really good, really. So like,
Look, not only look, they're good, but they also have the records to prove it, right?
yeah, exactly.
When you look at the records, Bills 6-2, Jets 6-3, Dolphins 6-3, Patriots 5-4. Top to bottom, solid division. I mean, you could look at the entire rest of the AFC. You have the Ravens at 6-3, the Titans at 5-3, and then you have the Chiefs at 6-2, the Chargers at 5-3. So four teams in the AFC East compare with the best other four teams in the entire AFC.
Right.
Right? There's no losing records there. They're all in the hunt for the playoffs at this point,
And for the division,
and for the division, right? And they've all played. Have they all played each other at least once?
I
I don't
believe
have the
so.
Bills played the Patriots yet. I don't think so. I think
Yeah,
that's
they did.
okay. So then
Wait, did no? I don't know.
I don't think they have. So, but most of them have played each other at least once already too. So, yeah, I mean, solid division, all around. It's surprising, right? We expected the Bills to be kind of, in a class of their own with the Chiefs and potentially teams like the Bucks or the Rams or the Ravens if those teams could have got their stuff together.
Right.
But for their own division, for everybody to be performing well and getting wins and quality wins at that is a bit surprising. Then you go over to the NFC East, and it's kind of more of the same, right? You have the Eagles sitting there at 8-0, best record in football, and then you have the Cowboys and Giants both at 6-2, and then you have the Washington Commanders is the only team under 500 out of the AFC and NFC East, and they're 4-5, right? So again, solid division, all
Right.
getting quality wins, all in the hunt for the playoffs. Even the Commanders at 4-5, they could easily turn their season around. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't
Probably
have
not.
as much faith in them. But still, as a division as a whole, if that's your worst team, we see other teams that are terrible, right? Um, and yeah, so they're looking pretty good. And then you look at the rest of the NFC. You have the Titans at 7-1. The rest of their division of that NFC North, none of them above 500. NFC South, none of them in the whole NFC South are above 500. And then you go to the NFC West, and you have the Seahawks at 6-3, and the 49ers are 500 at 4-4. So even less good teams in the NFC than the AFC. Um, so yeah, so far these are the best divisions in football. We talked about this before with the whole the AFC West supposed to be the best team in football this year. It's clearly not happening.
Right.
We talk about the NFC West, and they've kind of been in that mix for a while. When they had, the 49ers are good, the Rams are good, so on and
The
so forth.
Seahawks
Yeah,
are so
this,
good.
so they're a decent division, but they're not, sitting at the top like they kind of have in some other years where all the games are pretty competitive. It's pretty cut and dry here. Yeah, I mean, look, you have two divisions where only one team is under 500 and they're still good, and they still have wins over the other guys in their division. So um, yeah,
It's
it's surprising, but we know this is how football goes, right?
the
There's a lot of turnover, um, you know, injuries, with all the influx of draft picks, player development, coaching changes, so on and so forth. Teams are able to rise up, and it just so happens that this year both the AFC and NFC East teams are performing pretty
Praying.
well and put themselves in the positions to make a run at the postseason.
Right.
On top of the fact that both both of those divisions are anchored by maybe the best teams in the conference at this point, right? When you look at the Bills and the Eagles. Um, so yeah, a lot of good football being played there, and when we get later in the year, it'll be fun to watch those late division rivalries and those matchups that we know are gonna be the first, second, and third last weeks of the year,
Right. Yeah.
kind of shape out who potentially wins the division, or
Right.
who's going to be the wild card teams. And we know with 3 wild card spots up to grab, it's even more interesting as teams can be knocking each other out, or
Yeah.
putting themselves in, and so forth.
It gives a good reputation for these divisions as well, because for so many years the AFC East has been run by the Patriots, and
Mhm.
then as Brady left and Josh Allen kind of emerged as one of the top quarterbacks in the league, the Bills have kind of run it, and then Miami would kind of be in it, not really, but Miami's actually showing a lot of promise this year. They're showing that they're not only a defensive team, and two is obviously with the weapons of Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, he's able to get things on track. And the NFC East, the NFC East is always up and down. There hasn't been a back to back winner in years. So it's kind of like you never know what you're gonna get, but every team seems to be playing really well. The Eagles, as anticipated in the beginning of the season, a lot of analytical people were saying, "Oh yeah, the Eagles are gonna win the division." Rightfully so. They're on top of the conference. Myself, I didn't have them winning the division. Again, it could be a possibility, just like you said, where towards the end of the year it can shape out where maybe even the Cowboys win, or the Giants can come out on top and kind of claim the NFC East again. But this is all to be determined. And again, there's still a lot left. Football to be played. So we'll see what happens, and hopefully just we'll be able to see more than two of these teams, or more than one of these teams in the playoffs in each division. So with that being said, we're gonna kind of get into the hot free agent that's been on the market for some time and been flirting with a lot of teams. Odell, we kind of see him going to the Giants facility and he's kind of flirting with like going back to New York. Um, Other playoff contenders that can use him, like the Bucks, the Cowboys could possibly use him, being that they've been struggling at the receiving position. Um, Obviously the Packers. You want to play with a great quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers wants to have kind of that safety blanket outside of Randall Cobb, and outside of Lazard. There's not much really help there, and it's like Alan Lazard. I mean, you throw him on any other team, he's probably the third string or probably the third option. Then you have the Niners, the Bills, and the Chiefs. So I mean, as far as the best fit, what do you think is the best fit for Odell? And as far as like, what team you think will go after him? What do you think like would really be the whole outcome of it?
Yeah, well, I think all the teams you stated are going to be going after him, as well as his team last year, the Rams, and probably the Ravens as well. So all those teams will be looking into his services. I mean, I'm sure more teams would want him, but these are the teams that have been linked to him at some point in some way. I don't think there's really any teams outside of that. But yeah, I mean, look, some of these teams they might have made more sense earlier on, and now they probably don't make as much sense. And so, and a team like the Packers is one of those teams, right? If you're the Packers, yeah, do you want Odell? Of course you want Odell. But if you're Odell, do you want the Packers now? Right?
Yeah.
Looking at their record, looking at how they've been playing, you might say to yourself, "Oh yeah, I can help them a lot," but why go to the Packers if you could go to another team that has more potential to win a Super Bowl this year, which is clearly what he's what he's talked about,
Right.
and everyone knows his intentions, and it's why he probably hasn't re-signed with the Rams after they won the Super Bowl because he's keeping his options open and looking to one be somewhere where he fits, which he proved he did fit with the Rams, but also to be in contention for another Super Bowl. So I think the Packers are kind of out at this point. The 49ers have been playing well. I don't think he goes to the 49ers. I think just offensively, that's not the type of place that he's going to thrive in,
Right.
the way that he probably wants. Like, what's the point of going somewhere where they're just gonna run? Probably just not the best fit, even though they're a pretty solid team. Then you look at a team like the Cowboys, and the Cowboys use them. Yeah, will the fit work? I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't.
I'm not
I
sure
don't.
if
I
that'll
don't
work
really see it.
necessarily.
I don't really see it. They need help, but with their offense, but their defense is kind of what's been hankering them. I don't see him going to a Cowboys team that, yeah, they have a pretty decent record, and you have a quarterback there in Dak who can get him the ball, but there's always a lot of drama. If he doesn't perform well, look, we saw how loud it got in a place like Cleveland. Why go to a team like Dallas,
Yeah.
where they having struggles,
And
and
they've
yeah,
been
they have
unstable.
CD. You have CD Lamb there, but he's a young receiver, right? He's not a super talented number one solid guy where you're gonna be able to play off him like you do with the Rams and Cooper Cup. With the Rams, um, he fit there last year, but they're struggling a lot. Can he probably slide in there and help their team? Yeah, but when their record isn't that great right now and they're struggling,
Do you
well,
want to put
yeah,
yourself in
they
that
they don't
position?
seem to be Super Bowl contenders this year. That's just not the feeling at this moment. I don't know if you slide in and limit yourself, and being that you didn't sign already with them,
Kind of,
you
yeah.
you left your options open. I don't see why you would pigeonhole yourself and go back. If that was the case, you should have just
Resigned, yeah.
re-signed with them and rehab the whole time in their facilities. So that doesn't look like to happen. So yeah, then we get to the other teams. You have the Ravens, good team. It's kind of similar to the Cowboys though in terms of why go there when you
Yeah.
might not be a perfect fit in that offense. The Bucks are a team where he's talked about wanting to play with Brady. With their struggles, I don't know how much sense it makes. Plus, they have all the weapons, right? If they were doing good, I think the Bucks would be a very strong choice for him, right? Being in Florida, the taxes down there, not paying that state tax, being in warm weather with that, with those injuries is helpful versus playing in cold weather. But I don't see it. I don't know how you look at that roster and look at those receivers and think, oh, I'm gonna be the guy who changes everything. You have
Yeah.
Evans and Godwin there. I mean,
How
they,
much can you really change?
yeah, they have weapons. If it's not working, you're probably not gonna be the reason to change it. So that takes out most of the list right there. You have the Giants, right? The Giants are a team I think similar to the Cowboys and Ravens. He doesn't necessarily fit with as well. I think what could help the Giants is just being that he started his career there, the whole familiarity with
Nostalgia.
there.
Yeah.
He's still friends with a lot of the players that are over there. Saquon is still there. We know they communicate all the time. They brought back a guy like Landon Collins. There's still, and I'm sure there's still other people in the building there that, you
That
know,
he's fond with. I'm
yeah.
sure.
But if you're looking at Super Bowls, are the Giants the place to go?
Probably
Probably
not.
not.
Not
Probably
right
not.
now.
Right. If you make the play to the Giants, it's more nostalgic. It's more, oh, this team is coming back. I could help them. Maybe win more games. Maybe we could make a run. Like the Giants are a team that could get hot and make a run historically. So there is that, but it's probably not like one of your better bets to do so. And then that leaves you with the Bills and the Chiefs, who I think are the top choices. I mean, if you're Odell, I don't see how one of those aren't where you go.
Yeah.
Solid quarterback. You have other options in the Chiefs. Kelsey, right, is their main target. You have to play off him and be one of those. As a wide receiver, you can move Odell all over the place. You have speed in other places with McCole Hardman. You have a guy like Juju
And
who
Kadarius.
is not. Yeah. They're not absolute number one solid receivers, but Kelsey's gonna pull a bunch of attention away from Odell and could get him open. We know Mahomes as his magic. He can air it out. He can get him the ball. Andy Reid running that offense with Eric Bieniemy. There's a lot of you know, solid results there for him to look at and be like, okay, I could come here and they should be in contention for a Super Bowl. So that's a good choice. And then you have the Buffalo Bills where we know a lot of the same things apply, right? Um, Great team, well run organization, playoff aspirations.
He's close with Von Miller on top
Yeah,
of that.
Von Miller goes
So
there, who he just played with in LA. Von Miller's been talking about getting Odell to Buffalo since probably
the
before the
beginning of this,
season.
yeah,
So he's been kind of making a case for that. And to go play with a quarterback like Josh Allen, he's not gonna have problem getting you the ball. You're opposite of a guy like Diggs, who's feasting this year.
right,
You should see plenty of opportunities. We see what it does for somebody like Gabe Davis. Even if you're
yeah,
Odell, you got to be like, oh, if Gabe Davis is able to go off, I should be able to go off too.
for sure. Yeah, I
So
think that would be a really good fit for Odell. I think hypothetically speaking, that'll probably be the best fit for him, being that, and then on top of that, it's like he's still in New York,
mhm.
so it's like it's not the Giants, but you're able to be in the same like area, and I think that's where it's like more so like obviously he liked LA, but it's like he's not against New York, so I mean maybe Buffalo is a spot for him. So I mean we'll see what the outcome is with who he signs with. I think whoever he signs with, he's gonna be a great help because it just opens up so much. Like he's just so diverse as an offensive weapon.
Yeah, for sure.
So, speaking of the Bills, we're gonna get into our weekly preview for next week. We have the Vikings going to Buffalo, and they're versing the Bills. The Bills are the -7.5 favorite right now. Um, I see this playing out. The Bills just came off of a big loss against the Jets last week. Um, and the Vikings, although their record is what it is, they seem to just be getting past these teams. And Buffalo is not a pushover team where it's like, I mean, they did lose to the Jets, but the Jets are also a great team.
Yeah, this seems
So,
like a game where both teams kind of get brought back to earth, right? The Bills get another win here. The Vikings take another loss. They remain one of the better teams, but the Bills are a team that you can see the Vikings losing to. The game is in Buffalo, so they have the home field advantage there. And look, coming off a tough loss, these guys are going to be motivated to get things done over there at the Bills organization. And look, we talked about Kirk Cousins and his prime time problems. This isn't necessarily a prime time game, but it's
but
going
it's
to
a
have a
big time
it's going
game.
to have a big time, prime time type of spotlight on it. And yeah, look, the Bills are the better team here. Um, yeah, did they struggle against the Jets? Sure. They kind of let the game closer than they needed to be, and then late, the Jets were able to come up with some turnovers and get to the quarterback and things of that nature. But I would like the Bills to stay focused here. I think they'll be able to pull out a win, and a much needed win for them as they attempt to continue on as one of the best teams in football. The Vikings have the second best record in the league. Only team with a better record is the Eagles. The Vikings are the lone 7-1 team. Vikings, take another loss here, but they stay in pretty good position to win their division and make a playoff run. But yeah, I think the Bills all around team, right? Offensively can put up points, defensively can stop you. I think this is a type of game where Kirk Cousins maybe he throws a few turnovers and the Bills are able to, you know, take a win here and get back on track.
Right. So the next game that we have is the Seahawks versus the Bucks. The Bucks are the -1.5 favorite. Um, I don't get it. The Bucks are obviously the favorite because they're at home and they just came off of a win, and everybody expects the Bucks to get back on track. Everybody's kind of expecting Tom Brady to kind of get back into that championship kind of mode. Especially late in the season. It is November. This is when real football starts to be played. But how many times are the Seahawks going to be an underdog? How many times are they going to be counted out? The Seahawks just came off of just came off of a win where they were underdog against a Cardinals team that wasn't like they're not horrible, but it's like if I was to match up the Cardinals versus the Bucks, I probably wouldn't be too against taking the Cardinals over the Bucks with the way that their offense is. Like the Bucks struggle to put up points, which is insane to me. But again, the Seahawks, they have firepower. I mean, they're not one of like I'm not going to talk about the Seahawks like they're the Bills or like they're the Chiefs or a team like that, but they sure as hell put up just as many points as them in some cases, and it's like the Bucks struggle to do so. So I mean, this will be an interesting game. I see Tom Brady struggling again. The Seahawks have a great secondary, and we'll see what happens. But if I'm betting on this game, I'd probably actually go with the Seahawks again.
Yeah, this one's a tough one. I can see why the Bucks are the favorite here, and the reason is that the Bucks have one of the best run defenses in the league, and Seattle's a team that is very run heavy in their offense. So if you can kind of neutralize their run game, I think that can pose a lot of problems for the Seahawks, and I think that could bring back you know maybe some a performance like people might have expected from Geno Smith before this year in terms of how he would play. You could kind of force Geno Smith to be more one dimensional and have to, if you force Geno Smith to have to beat you with his arm the whole game, I think that can pose some trouble. So I can see why the Bucks are favored here, being the home team as well, and coming off that win against the Rams. It kind of seems like the Bucks are a team that one week they're going to come out and the offense will just click for them and they'll be able to, put up some points. So,
Yeah.
will it be this week? I don't know, but yeah, it'll certainly be interesting to see. Like I said, the Bucks with their great run defense going up against the Seahawks offense. We know they've been able to take advantage and put up points. But it is all based off of their run game. They're able to run, throw it deep down the field, run some play action, and defensively, like you said, their secondary. Some young guys on there, but they've stepped up. They're able to force turnovers, things like that. So yeah, should be a fun matchup, and one that will be important for both teams, right? The Bucks trying to get back on track in terms of getting into the playoff race, and the Seahawks trying to, stay as the lone leader in their division,
Right.
and really run away with it and make sure they win out that in terms of winning that division and things of that nature. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. If I was to lean one way or the other, I'd probably lean the Bucks just off of expecting that they're due for a good offensive performance at some point.
Right.
Will it be this week? It might not, but I think they're gonna have one of those games at some point sooner than later.
Yeah, I think they will as well. So the next game that we're going to get into is the Chargers versus the 49ers. The 49ers are the -6.5 favorite. They're playing at home. That's most likely why. Interesting game, being that I feel like these teams are very evenly matched up. The Chargers, they've struggled offensively as well sometimes, and they struggled defensively. They tend to let teams kind of get back into the game, and the 49ers are kind of like a team that you can't really let that happen to, because they'll just run the clock out. They'll just bleed the clock, and they run the ball effectively. Obviously, we've seen with the addition of Christian McCaffrey, and even prior to him with Jeff Wilson, they were able to have a consistent run game. So it'll this is kind of like, I can't really call this game. I mean, this game could really go either way. This probably would be a game I'd stay away from when it comes to parlays, because I don't know how the hell it could go. It could go one way or the other. Like, one team can blow out the other, or and we've seen how the 49ers play at home. They play great at Levi Stadium. And on top of that, it's really hard to just play against them when you're behind. So I mean, we'll see what kind of transpires with this game, really.
Yeah, this game, you know, they're somewhat evenly matched teams in terms of, I guess, what you could expect from them talent wise, and but they, very different type of teams. Chargers, obviously, more of a team that can air it out, use Austin Eckler in a variety of ways. They are also dealing with injuries. I mean, Keenan Allen's, can't stay on the field this year. We had Mike Williams even out last week against the Falcons. They still find a way to win without their top two receivers against the Falcons. They had to, come out and come back late to get that win. And the 49ers, solid defensive team. They like to run the ball. But, I kind of look at this game how I looked at the 49ers and Rams games, in that, the Seahawks, the 49ers have one of the better pass defenses in the league. So if you can shut that down for a team that likes to throw the ball a lot,
Nah.
could pose lots of problems. Even more so, though, in this game, the 49ers are Are they the number one rushing team in the league? No, they're middle of the pack, but we know yards wise, sure, but they're going to pound the rock regardless. And now with McCaffrey there, a bigger weapon in terms of running the ball efficiently, but also getting out and making plays. Whether it's screens, short passes, even getting down the field and catching some balls. So, um, I think I would probably lean the 49ers here. They're at home. But they're going to be able to run the ball against a Chargers defense that's one of the worst run defenses in the league.
Right.
That's the other story here is okay, how are the Chargers going to be able to get the 49ers off the field? And this could be a game similar to um how we saw recently with the Browns and the who was that playing? What was it, like a Thursday night or a Monday night game? And they just completely ran the ball with Nick Chubb. Oh, the Bengals.
Browns and Bengals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be an outcome like that where the Browns just hold the ball all game, run the ball on defense. The other team comes out, they're not able to move it. I can see this game, going like that. This is a 6.5 point spread with a game like that. Similar to how we talked about with the Chiefs and the Titans. Some of these teams with explosive passing offenses can put up points in a hurry. So the 6.5 point spread has potentially won't hold if the Chargers are able to put up points, or the Chargers could outright win if they could just get up early. Once you get up early,
It's kind of hard to.
yeah, it's hard to
really
climb
come
climb back into a game with the running the ball a lot. But yeah, I think smart money here is on the Niners. And yeah, I expect them to come out, run the ball, play good defense, limit possessions for the Chargers, and kind of really dominate the time of possessions, rushing yards. And look, I don't even know what the status is with Mike Williams, but they better hope they have him
ready.
They have him because yeah, they without both their top two receivers, because I'm sure Keenan Allen is
Going to be out
doubtful again to play. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough time for Justin Herbert.
Yeah, so we'll see again what happens. I think Mike Williams and Keenan Allen is a key factor in that game for the Chargers. So for the next segment that we're gonna get into is the best bets that we have for this week. If you're looking to make some money, we're gonna go over some games that you could possibly do so. So for the Browns, the Browns are versing the Dolphins. Dolphins are the -4 favorite right now, and Dolphins just seem to be really getting rolling, and their offense is just it's great. It's exciting to watch, really. Just seeing Jalen Waddle get active, Tyreek Hill get active. Their run game, it's kind of similar, just like we were just talking about, to the 49ers, where they just have a lot of personnel. They just got Jeff Wilson. They involved him last week, already got a touchdown. So it'll be interesting to watch. The Dolphins are, I believe, the -4 favorite. Who do you have going with this? You have the
I think you got to roll with the Dolphins here.
Yeah.
Last week it was I believe it was either a -4 or -4.5 point spread against the Dolphins. They didn't cover. But the Lions offense is, they're not winning a lot of games, but they have a pretty good offense. I think against the Browns, they should be able to put up the points and, maybe even get up to a pretty sizable lead early and kind of knock them out of the game. But yeah, I think, smart money here is on the Dolphins, 4 points. I mean, they could win easily by a touchdown or more. So, I like the Dolphins here. Their offense has been clicking once Tua's back. We know both Waddle and Hill, Tyreek Hill, have been very reliable as receivers. Two of the top receivers productively in the league so far. So I look them to continue that efficiency on the offensive side of the ball and, be able to continue putting up points and get a win here against the Browns team that really needs to lean on Nick Chubb, who's a monster, but there's
you can
only
only lean on him so much.
right. Um, yeah, and then we have the Lions and the Bears divisional matchup, and yeah, I mean, look, I just talked about the Lions, how they covered against the Dolphins last week. They have that explosive offense. Um, I'm gonna roll with the Bears here, though. They've been hot in terms of how Justin Fields has been playing. Very efficient, being able to use his legs and his arm. They've added Chase Claypool in the trade market right at the deadline, and gives him another weapon. I think it doesn't seem like Fields is going to be slowing down anytime soon. Does that mean they're going to win tons of games this year? Probably not. But against a
Right.
Lions team,
That's kind of up and down.
that's up and down. I think the Bears at home. This is a game that they can be able to capitalize and add to their win total. We know they're gonna find some wins here and there. This is a divisional game. We know these are usually close games. I I like Justin Fields' chances here to find a
So
way to get things done against the Lions this week.
right. So I think I'm gonna go with the Bears as well. The next game that we have is the Cowboys versus the Packers. The Cowboys are visiting Lambeau, and the Packers are actually the underdog here. I think it's obviously because of their recent struggles. They just lost to the Lions. There's been a lot of like just miscommunications on offense. Aaron Rodgers hasn't really looked like himself lately. The Cowboys obviously are playing pretty good football. They've been winning a lot of games, and yeah. So I mean, the Packers are the +4.5 favorite, but I mean, 4.5 underdog. But I mean, me personally, I just like you said with the Bucks. I feel like at some point the Packers just have to just turn it around. And I feel like Aaron Rodgers is just due to have an Aaron Rodgers game. Um, it's different personnel. I mean, obviously he doesn't have a Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, but somebody's gonna step up eventually, and I think this is the game that somebody does. So I think me personally, I take the points with the Packers, and I take the I maybe even them outright, but to play it safe, I definitely take the points with them.
Yeah, and I would take the points with the Packers. I think look, they're struggling to find their way, and they definitely don't have the type of weapons that Aaron Rodgers is accustomed to on the offensive side of the ball. But against a team like the Cowboys, look, the Cowboys have a very solid defense, but this screams low scoring game to me.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
the Packers can run the ball effectively. They've shown that. I think look, even against the Bills, where they kind of tapped out almost and you know decided to run the ball when they were already down a ton. Until later in the game, um, that wasn't even a huge win for the Bills. They only won by 10 points there, and they were absolutely in control of that game from front to back. So 4.5 points here against a Cowboys team that isn't the most explosive offensively. Um, I think the Packers can, like you said, look, you can't count Aaron Rodgers out. He can find a way to win this game outright. But even if they don't, I think there's a pretty good chance that they cover that 4.5 point spread, and and the the spread holds up for them. So I like the Packers there. I think similar to some other teams we talked about, they are due for some wins. They'll find a way to get them. Whether this is a win or not, I don't know, but this should at least be a pretty close game and come down towards the end of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see what happens on Sunday with all these games. So that pretty much wraps it up for this episode. We're gonna get back to you guys next week with episode 11, and lots of football to watch, lots of games. You guys let us know what games you may want to hear from us from next week. Comment, like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.